There is something wrong with me. An emptiness. Just a void.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is January 9th, 2026, and you are listening to episode 222 and the best movies of 2025 episode of Midnight Film Society. I'm your host, Damian Sherman. Joining me today, as always, is
Derick McDuff.
On today's show, as you might have guessed, all Derick and I will be doing today is counting down our favorite movies of the year of our Lord 2025. Right into the show, Midnight Film Society, gmail.com, Midnight Film Pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, Letterboxd. Subscribe on Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcast, Spotify. Rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend, family member, or stranger. What's up, my dude? How are we doing?
Doing well. I mean, this is always my favorite episode of the year to record, so I am excited.
Yes, I am too. We got a lot of stuff to get to, as I was alluding to earlier before we hit record. Got a lot of categories, got a couple of things to chat about before we get to the top 10 of the year. Derick, how was 2025 for you in terms of the films, the cinema, the movies? How are the movies for you, sir, in 2025?
You know what? I think every year is a good movie year. You know, I'm never going to say, oh, this year there was no good movies, because there's always going to be good stuff, you know. And there was absolutely some great movies that came out this year that we're going to talk about. Maybe not as much as the last couple years, but, you know, definitely still a few real good ones to talk about here today.
Yeah, Derick will be running for governor of California after this. That's a very politician-y answer. Every year's a good answer. Every year's a good year for movies. Yes.
You know, here's the thing. Well, I'm not going to say that there's bad movies, because we're going to talk about some good ones, but it just wasn't as good as 2023 or 2024, I think.
Yes, yeah. There's some real strong hitters. You know, obviously, Barbenheimer, cannot deny the strength of Barbenheimer in 23. Honora coming out of nowhere. In 24 to win the big prize last year. Yeah, you're right. We have some heavy hitters. We have some really intimate, quiet films that I found personally enjoyable this year. But yeah, I think it's in September or whenever that movie, though will not be discussed until later, was released. It seems like it's been sewn up for a while, which I think was the same deal in 24. Yeah, I feel like there was that it released late. The Nora released later than the one this year that we'll talk about. But yeah, it seems like it's been sewn up for a while. Is that your assessment still?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm reading the clues with the tea leaves correctly, and you're talking about what I think you're talking about, I called it when I saw it. I was like, yeah, that's going to win Best Picture. Not that the movie not that the movie that wins Best Picture is always the best movie. You know, I liked Nora, but it wasn't on my top 10 list last year.
Yeah.
It just usually I don't think every one of these movies is a 4.5 or 5-star movie. There's a couple 4-star movies that have crept onto my list this year.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just start there to dive in a little bit to the questions, because I always like to dig in and talk about how we made our list. Was there, I think we talk about this every time we do the best of the year episode, but I always posit, are you making the list based on, okay, this is the best movie and it's going to win awards, versus this is the thing that meant the most to me? It touched me deeply inside, where I'm soft, down deeply, versus this is a fucking amazing performance and it said something, it had themes, and it was the acting, cinematography, all of that. Do you, as we get older in the years, are you listening more to your heart, and do you have any of that residual, like, this is the best movie, the most movie, the most acting movie, or are you just mostly listening to your heart these days?
Yeah, I'm listening to my heart. You know, there's some movies on here that I think definitely will line up with awards contenders, but there's a lot that has zero chance of being at anywhere near the awards circuit.
Yes. I think I talked about this last year and probably the year before as well. That my list for the past few years have just been Damian coded movies. Last year I had. I saw The TV Glow as the number one favorite movie from last year. Year before that, I think, was Past Lives, or maybe I'm thinking of a different year. But it's just from now on, it's just going to be what I my favorite movie, which is, I think what we should always be doing whenever we make this list is, what we think is the best one.
Exactly. These are my favorite movies, my top picks of 2025. And I didn't get to see everything. There's even quite a few things on your list that I wanted to see, but I just didn't get a chance to. But so at some point you've got to stop watching movies and be like, well, I know my heart is telling me that these movies these 10 I've got here are very solid picks, and I'm gonna stick with them.
At a certain point, you have to stop watching the movies. So that pivots into my next question. Is there anything on your list that you saw within the last, let's say, 2 weeks to a month?
Yeah, there's 2 movies. My 4 and my 5 both are late editions.
Late editions. Okay, nice. Let me check out everything I saw recently on here on my top 10. I don't believe so. No. Let me actually go to my correct list here. I pulled up the wrong one for a second. I had all of the 2020, all of the movies. Let's see here. I also made it private. Sorry about that. Let me unprivate that. So my best of the year blog post, I just had to poop it out. I had to get it out of me. So fortunately, we will not be doing the guessing each other's list, because I made I put my list out there on Medium, so it won't be a mystery to you or to anybody at this point. And also my list here on Letterboxd is also unprivated. Let me actually go here. Nothing I saw within the last 2 weeks. Maybe a month. One of them might have come out within a month. But yeah, everything's kind of been locked in for a while. Let's see what other questions that I have for you. I think that was it for the best of this and how we crafted our list. Let's go to some stats. I love my stats. Let's do the stats now. Let's get that stuff out of the way. People love the stats. People come here for the stats. That's what the Statty Boys is what we're calling ourselves. These days.
We're a couple of Tony Reales.
Exactly.
And if you get that reference, you must have watched ESPN in the early aughts.
Yep, Sports Center. I love the baseball highlights, and the catch of the day was an amazing segment. Yes. Stats for 2025. I actually just updated it recently because the way I've been doing it this year and in years past is there's a thing you can tag movies that you've seen, and if you see them in theaters, you can tag it as in theaters. So that's how I sort of figure out what I saw in theaters this year. In the year of our Lord 2025, I saw 37 films in theaters. My first one was Companion. My last one was It Was Just an Accident. I saw 2 in images in the little lounge area, The Mastermind and Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. Saw that in the images theater. Derick, any stats you want to throw out there for the people?
Sure. I mean, just looking at my Letterboxd, I did not tag them in theaters like you did, but I apparently watched 238 movies, which is 4.6 a week. I watched apparently Superman 3 times. It was my most watched film. My first film on the 1st of January was Nosferatu, and my last film on December 28th was Rio. Nice.
What was your most watched actor?
Oh, that's a good question. My most watched actor, this checks out because I did a Mission Impossible rewatch, was Tom Cruise. So narrowly beating out Ving Rhames for my most watched actor.
Yeah. My most watched actor is an interesting one. I think probably people would assume watching a lot of things that came out in the theaters. Pedro Pascal, Josh O'Connor. That was their big year this year. I saw 3 Pedro Pascal movies. I also saw apparently 3 Will Poulter movies. I saw Warfare, Black Mirror, an episode of Black Mirror, and Death of a Unicorn. He was in 3 movies that year. But my most watched actor this year, do you want to take a guess of who that was? This man is a very famous actor. He was in the Avengers movies. He was probably the titular villain in those Avengers movies.
I was going to say it's Josh Brolin because he was in Weapons and he was in a bunch of... He's in my most watched actor, not from the Mission Impossible franchise, actually.
Gotcha. So does it show, do you have it pulled up which movies he was in, and do you want to try to guess the movies he was in this year?
Okay, I know he was also in Wake Up Dead Man and Weapons. He's in the 2 of those.
Yep.
And then The Running Man.
Yes, correct. That was the 3.
And then, Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I rewatched No Country for Old Men. That got me to 4 Josh Brolin movies this year. My most watched directors were kind of skewed because I watched Ashley Sabins and David Reben's documentaries. I saw all 5 of those, so that kind of skewed my list there. Mr. Soderbergh had 2 films out this year, so I checked out both of those this year. Did that check out with your most watched director as well? It's probably the, let me guess, it's McQuarrie, right? Because of the Mission Impossible movies?
McQuarrie is in a 3-way tie for the most watched director with 4 films, which are, of course, the 4 Mission Impossible films that he directed. The other 2, I don't know. What's a good hint? One is of the. He's of that kind of same class as Quentin Tarantino. He's like that same kind of director class.
Age-wise, you mean?
One is
2?
he kind of came up with them. They're friends.
Fincher boy.
No, Robert Rodriguez.
Ah, yes.
As I watched the Mariachi trilogy and also Alita Battle Angel,
Nice.
and then also tied with them, he's somebody who is known for making a lot of really good films in the 80s and up to early 2000s, and then since then has kind of just made weird technical marvels.
Tech marvels. Tech marvels, yes. Like 3D stuff, like high frame rate stuff.
Maybe high frame rate. I don't know.
Yeah. James Cameron.
No, it would be Robert Zemeckis, Bobby Z.
Oh,
I
yes.
watched Back to the Future, The Walk Here, and Flight. I'm sure this is very interesting to everyone listening.
It's fascinating. All right, so that's the stats for 2025. Later on the show, I'll be announcing a very exciting announcement for stats this year, which will probably be, let's just say it'll pad my numbers a little bit in 2026.
Yeah. I see you're catching up to me in overall films. You got a couple hundred to go, but you're closing in.
Yeah. This is my year, baby. Okay. Let's see. You have the questions thing pulled up. Anything you want to talk about movie wise before we shift a little bit to just a very quick TV corner?
No, yeah, we can talk about some TV stuff.
Yeah, so what was your favorite TV show of the year? And when I was making this list and going through the TV shows this year, I was honestly shocked. I was like, that came out this year? That came out this year? Oh my God, this was a long year. Derek, what was your favorite TV show of 2025?
Well, I gave my top 5 in no particular order, which are Severance, Scorigami, the miniseries that John Boyce did for YouTube, The Studio, so a lot of stuff starting with S, and then The Bear, and of course Andor.
Of course, Andor. Yeah, Andor is my top one this year. I also checked out most of Pluribus recently. Severance was that was the big one that I was like, holy shit, that did come out this year. What the fuck? I've liked very much of what I saw of The Studio as well. So yeah, we're on the same page there. Definitely TV going to take a big backseat this year. Again, teasing my announcement for later. All right. Do you want to quickly we'll do most anticipated movies next time in next coming weeks. Do you just want to give a big shout out, give a big Hail Mary of what you think will be the best movie of 2026?
I'll say Doomsday. Let's say Doomsday.
Let's say Doomsday.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's do it.
The most money making movie. Sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be good. Endgame was good. This will be good. Infinity War was good.
I like
Let's keep it rolling. Roll it back.
Yeah. What are you making? We haven't talked in a while. So last couple of weeks we've seen multiple leaks and then full releases of teasers of Doomsday. What do you make of this stuff?
I make of it that I have intentionally avoided leaks.
Okay.
Because if I don't watch trailers, I'm definitely not going to watch leaks.
Yes. Well, okay, fine. That's fair enough. For the record, they have Marvel and the Russos released those leaks like a week after, so it's not really a super big leak. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm seeing this 4 days early. That's cool, and I'm seeing this in 180p 4 days early. That's cool. So you're not mentioning much there.
Watch it when I see the movie.
Sure, or not. They released many teasers for Infinity War where those scenes were either completely cut out or heavily edited. Remember the famous one of Hulk running with the rest of the crew on Earth to fight Thanos in that one scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, anything? Let's see. I'm trying to think. Do you want to move forward to just jump to the list, or do you want to talk about any underseen scenes, movies, performances, any of that stuff?
I mean, we can jump into the list unless there's any particular ones you wanted to shout out.
Not really. Why don't we save that for our sort of merge it with our honorable mentions? We can sort of talk about underrated performances there. One thing I did want to chat with you about is the Oscars are going to be on YouTube in 2029. Now, when I first heard this announcement, I thought they meant in addition to being on ABC, but apparently ABC's license goes away. Their agreement sort of dies off after the 100th Oscars will be on ABC for the last time, and then shifting only to YouTube. That was fascinating, actually, because boomers and older Gen X, I don't think you're going to be like, what? Where's my Oscars? Where'd the Oscars go? And then they're going to have a team of millennials and Gen Zs explaining to their older relatives how the YouTubes work. So, Derick, any broad thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to have to help my parents figure out how to watch the Oscars on YouTube. It's interesting, yeah, because it does seem like the Oscars are both trying to, with everything they do, trying to honor their traditions and be like, oh well, this is important and we have integrity, but also be like, hey, we're hip and new and cool, and those things don't always or really usually ever work together. So it's interesting to see what will happen with this. The YouTube deal.
Yeah, for me, every year I have this issue with the Oscars, with the Super Bowl. I don't watch the Super Bowl just to watch it. I watch it just, other people are watching it, so I like to stay current with my friends and be able to have conversations about that stuff. And so I do the same thing with the Oscars, where I'm just like, scouring the internet for a good stream, legal or illegal, to try to check out what's happening as soon as it happens, and I'm usually far behind.
Slap happened in real time.
I tried to watch the slap happen in real time. I don't think anybody did, actually. I think I got cut, and then later on it got shown somehow.
Yeah, Australians are one of those. That's where it got leaked from.
True.
There wasn't a tape delay in one of those places.
Yeah, so I'm of two minds. I think it's for me, it's the expense thing. Like, I'm not going to pay a bunch of money every month to get cable just to have ABC for one night. I'm also don't want to pay $80 a month for YouTube TV to watch it on there. So that's my big concern, is like, am I going to have to shell out $80 for 1 month of YouTube TV to check this thing out? That's very curious about how they're going to structure that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, for me, excuse me. For me, thank you. I'll just, instead of watching it on Hulu, which I have, I'll be watching it on YouTube Premium, which I have. So, it doesn't. I mean, I'm assuming I can watch it on YouTube Premium. I don't know the ins and outs of the deal, but I do. I don't know if it's going to be like something where you have to have premium to watch it on YouTube, or just anybody can watch it on YouTube. I don't know how it's going to work, but if it does open up to being watched by more people, because the Oscars have had declining, viewership every single year, as pretty much everything other than sports have on cable TV. Then if this means that more people get to watch it, then that's good. That's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. All right. So with all of that, let's get to our top 10 movies of 2025. Derick, why don't you kick us off? What is your number 10 movie of 2025?
Yeah, so my number 10 movie of 2025 is I'm Still Here.
Seus documentos. Anda, anda!
Daqui a pouco passa. Tá ficando perigoso demais aqui, Rubens.
Deputado Rubens Paiva.
Eu já volto.
The film it's a Brazilian film, so in Portuguese, from Walter Sales. It's one of a couple films that came out this year that talks about the time period in the 80s when the Brazilian government which was a very, very corrupt government, was essentially just disappearing people. People were just vanishing. I talked about this on our halfway through the year show. It was nominated for Oscars in 2024, or it's the 2025 Oscars, so for the 2024 year, but it did not. Nice one. It did not actually get a really release other than awards qualifying release in the U.S. until 2025. And yeah, it's a real powerhouse performance from Fernanda Torres, who is the main character in this. It's I guess this is actually set in 1971, but as we are getting closer and closer to living through a military dictatorship and a country where people are just disappearing, it feels more and more relevant. Just a really important watch, and a really moving film, I think.
Yeah, I checked this out fairly recently. Yes, definitely agree with everything you said. Yeah, it's a reminder of where you can go and where we kind of are. And you said mentioned people disappearing, and yeah, it's already happening. And yeah, I don't know what they did to get out of it. I don't know what we're gonna do to get out of it. But yeah, it's definitely, like I said I posted a long blog post about the movies I saw this year, and it's definitely a thing that I didn't really mention, which is that the movies and media can definitely, boost your awareness of, hey, this stuff has happened before. It's not normal. It sucks. And part of it isn't just going out into the streets protesting. It can be just little signs of protest where, like I said, they were taking her picture and saying, you can't smile. And that was like their form of protest of just saying, no, you can take everything else away from us, but you're not going to take, our laughter, our resilience, all of that stuff. So yeah, great pick. Great pick for number 10. Yep. One thing I forgot to mention is I'll do a little insert for the audio just to put in a little teaser, a little snippet to give people an idea of what things sound like. So just give me a little beat between your naming the thing and the description of the thing, so I can fit a thing in there. Yeah. All right. So my number 10 movie of 2025 is Richard Linklater's Blue Moon.
We write together for a quarter a century, and the first show he writes with someone else is gonna be the biggest hit he ever had. Am I bitter, Larry? Yes.
For over 20 years, Hart and his partner Richard Rodgers created a string of hits.
I want 10 copies of that.
Write me a check.
This is a movie I saw fairly recently. I think this is a return to form for Mr. Linklater. Not return to form in terms of quality, but in terms of the stuff he did with Ethan Hawke back in the before trilogy. A very small, contained, very contained actually. Not one room, but one area, one place. Just a bar with a dining area, and it's just a coat rack area, and those three areas make up this entire film. That was really well done, and one of those things they kind of don't do anymore in an adult movie, an original movie written for adults. And it was so performed, so well acted, so well edited. Ethan Hawke should get some recognition just for the fact of saying all those dialogues, saying all the words, doing all that stuff, carrying this movie on his back. He plays a very slight man, Lorenz Hart, he plays in this film. And one thing I wanted to ask you, or one thing I talked about in my blog, is there's kind of definitely a theme running throughout a lot of my picks, which is loneliness, isolation, regret, grief, all of that stuff. And this is definitely starting me off there with Lorenz Hart, where the opening frame of this movie is a quote, and I forget who it was from, but she basically said, Lorenz Hart was one of the saddest men I have ever met. And I think one of the things I really appreciate about Hawke's performance is, I think he's talked about this, but I know other people have as well, where if you're playing drunk, your job is not to be as drunk as possible. Your job is to act like you're not drunk, to try to portray to other people you're not drunk. And I think he's doing a similar thing here, where he's pretending not to be sad. He's laughing, he's drinking, he's telling jokes, he's commiserating, he's doing all that stuff, but you still can tell just behind his eyes how sad he is. So I think that's really an admirable thing. That's why it's my number 10 of the year.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't get a chance to check this out. I was interested in it because this is the one that is about, the opening of Oklahoma, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. and I was in a production of Oklahoma in high school.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I know about the Rogers and Hammerstein, and then before that, this is for people who aren't aware about Lorenz Hart, who was the previous collaborator before Rogers teamed up with Hammerstein. And so yeah, it's just kind of, it's almost like from what I understand, it's like him watching his ex, going to his ex's like wedding or something like that.
Yeah.
Is the vibe. So yeah, interested in this one. Just did not get a chance to check it out.
Yes, very good. Derek, what's your number 9 of 2025?
So my number 9 is, and I alluded to that some of the movies that I'll be talking about do not have chances for any awards consideration, and this one certainly does not. And that is because this one is a recent update in a long-running horror franchise, and that would be Final Destination: Bloodlines.
Grandma, what's happening to us?
Years ago, I had a premonition that started it all. I saw what death was about to do.
So I am a huge fan of at least the very first Final Destination movie, and it's kind of diminishing returns after that. I think that this one was a real return to form. I am not the biggest horror guy, definitely not the biggest slasher guy, but one thing I think that the Final Destination movies have all done really well is that the slasher is the concept of death itself, and the way that they are able to do these insane, intricate, Rube Goldberg-esque, death sequences. I thought that this movie took the franchise that is very well established, has very, established lore and rules and stuff like that, and really, it's not quite a legacy sequel because the first one, I don't know how long ago it was, but it's been a minute since then. This was clearly made by people who love this franchise. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of inventive, smart horror stuff. It also does a lot of really cool things with the lore of, this thing. It's like, Bloodlines, it's about legacy. This is a kind of legacy sequel. And also, this is Tony Todd's last performance, and I know to a lot of people he's a horror icon because of Candyman. For me, and obviously incredible performance in that. For me, he's always been the coroner from the Final Destination movies. That has been the defining Tony Todd role, and to see him go out and kind of that last speech that he gives, where he talks about, because his character, who has managed to, you find some stuff out, his character which I kind of called, Phil Prutt and myself for calling that he had been avoiding death like all these characters in the series for so long. And he steps off being like, yeah, well, I'm finally going to see death and face death. And they just kind of let Tony Todd ad-lib that, because Todd was, you can tell that he is kind of at the end here in this movie when he does that extended cameo. And his performance is so good. It seems like both the character and the actor are accepting death, which is what these movies are about. This is really a movie about death coming for us all. It's such a human experience. And while this is on one level a very fun, over-the-top, gory horror movie, it's also about something. And I think that's the best horror movies are about something.
Yeah, very well said. You are in good standing with Perry Nemiroff. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's one of the not up and coming, but she's been doing this for a long time. One of the great interviewers right now. Let me Pennyroff. Yeah, Pennyroff. Let me see. What is this person's name? Are you familiar with what I'm trying to say here?
I can't say that I am.
Perry Nemiroff. She did a lot of interviews. She's interviewed Thor Birch recently. She had Renata Renshead on her show. She had Laura Bailey.
That's why you like her.
Yes. Let me plug her into the thing here. You've probably seen her. She's on the same level as was the guy we met at Comic-Con. Forgot his name.
Oh. I don't know. You're the guy who you have as your profile picture?
Yes. Yes, this person. She interviews a lot of people. Very, very funny and very engaging interviewer. Asked really, really great questions. The reason I brought her up she has Bloodlines as her number 1 favorite movie of 2025. So yeah, she puts a lot of Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I see her picture. I recognize her. That's really cool.
Yeah, she has a lot of genre stuff on her top 10 list. She has Sketch, she has Long Walk, she has other movies we'll be talking about later on here. She has Together. Together was her number 10 favorite movie of the year so far. So that was funny.
It's also John Waters' number 2 movie of the year. So
Oh, wow.
like
good company.
shout out to John Waters. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. So glad that there's some of us out here who appreciate true cinema.
Yes, yeah, exactly. All right, so that was your number 9. My number 9 movie of 2025 is The Mastermind.
You don't look like cops.
Say, James, we've been told that you're mixed up in this robbery.
I sure don't know how you got down this road, but you got the wrong idea. I'm afraid you got some bad information.
Like I said in my review, like I said in my review, it would have taken like a lot of really good stuff to push a new Kelly Reichardt movie off of my list. This is it does stay with my theme of sad lonely men as the theme of my list this year. Joshua Connor plays an inept thief who, after stealing some pretty rare paintings and having a lot of people on his tail, he abandons his family, takes the paintings, and goes on the run. That's kind of the last half of that movie. But yeah, this is just another really quiet indie thing from Kelly Reichardt, and this is the first time she's working with Joshua Connor, kind of the man of the moment. This movie, if anybody's seen other Kelly Reichardt stuff, this is very much in line with First Cow and Night Moves. Night Moves was a movie similar to How to Blow Up a Pipeline, about sort of eco-terrorists. And this is more in line with First Cow, where it's just about a guy trying to just do some little crimes, little thievery here and there. But he's just a buffoon, but he plays it very well. He plays the sad, isolated buffoon very, very well. Joshua Connor does. So yeah, highly recommend checking out The Mastermind.
Yeah, I really wanted to see this. This was the one that I was going to try and watch over the last couple of days to see if it made the list. I just, had to get my car worked on. I went to go see a football game, so I couldn't fit it in. But I do like, especially First Cow, the vibes that Kelly Reichardt brings,
yes.
And like this being kind of like sepia tone, just kind of like chill hangout movie. I'm a huge fan of Josh O'Connor. Like, as you said, he's kind of the guy of the moment. Challengers was my pick of my favorite film that was the last year came out.
24,
but he's going to be 24. So, and I'll say this, slight spoilers, he will show up on on at least one of the films that I'm going to be talking about here. So, I'm sure I'll be talking about him in a little bit.
Yeah. It. I was just looking it up, and she shot this on a 16mm film, so it does have that grainy.
Nice.
Yeah, sepia tone that very lends itself to that time period. All right, so that was my number 9. Derek, what's your number 8 film of 2025?
Yeah, so my number 8 film, and I will keep it here in the realm of movies about criminals. My number 8 film is Roofman.
I was never very good at life.
Good morning, team. No. Don't be scared.
Kind of like I was not good at hurting people.
Dwayne, get your coat.
I don't have one.
Are you serious?
Here. I was good at seeing things. Details. Systems and routines.
Roofman, of course, starring Channing Tatum and Kiki Dunst. It is directed by Derek Cianfrance, who is one of my favorite directors. This is, for people who are not aware, based on the real story of a guy who had cut holes into the roofs of McDonald's, robbed a place. He went to jail, and then lived in a Toys R Us for an extended period of time. I think this is a movie that it seems, at least on first blush, like, hey, this is the kind of lovable criminal, like this kind of wacky, like, savant guy who can figure all this out. Channing Tatum is incredibly charming in the role as this criminal you want to like. Like, the first place he robs, it's Tony Revolori, and he puts him in the freezer, and he gives him his coat. but watching him just kind of, be a very likable criminal, but slowly over the film, you start to realize like he is still a criminal. He has still done these bad things. Does he have remorse for the things that he's done? Whether or not he's likable, he's doing things that hurt people. Despite the fact that he is a nice guy, he's still acting in a very selfish manner. I think it's just a really interesting film. There's a surprise Ben Mendelsohn as this kind of wacky fun pastor that shows up partway through the movie, and he's in this great interracial relationship so it's nice to see that. And at the end the movie does the thing where you see the real life people and they kind of talk a little bit, so it's nice. I think this is just solid filmmaking from a great filmmaker that kind of not enough people saw.
Yes, I really wanted to catch up with this. That was on my list of stuff to definitely check out. And yeah, sounds like a fun romp. Yeah, definitely. Channing Tatum. Yeah, Channing Tatum seems like one of those guys that play that role very, very well. Yeah.
Oh, it's tailor made for Tatum, this role.
Yeah, nice. All right, so that was your number 8 movie of the year. My number 8 movie of the year is Weapons.
Come on, what am I looking at?
Leave the investigating to the investigators.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching?
Yes. Weapons. I said in my review that other than loneliness, a major theme of this year was movies that are perceived to be radical. Now, whether or not they are actually radical, I'll talk about that later. But I really liked Weapons. Zach Cregger's follow-up to his 2022 Barbarian, and it's very much a fairy tale, even with the fairy tale sort of voiceover at the beginning. It's also presented in a Rashomon style, which, I think that gets thrown around a lot these days. This is kind of it is the right example of it, right? Because it's showing perspective from. Actually, no, it's not for Rashomon, because Rashomon.
I was going to say no, it's not Rashomon.
It's not.
That's not how that works.
It's not, because Rashomon tells a story from different points of view, but they're different versions of the same story. Right. But this is the same story. Right. Yeah, same story, different
points of it. Yeah,
different points of view. Yes. So yes, but very pedantic, but yes, that's true. This movie is very much about school shootings. I think if you just look at it from the perspective of one kid being left alone in a classroom and why that happened, and I think it's somewhat radical in the sense that it doesn't give you easy answers. I think there's so much in life today. People in life today just want easy answers for a lot of things, and will just concoct random, conspiracy theories about why things happen. So I think this movie is very much dealing with that stuff and blaming whoever you can blaming whoever's left and saying you did this because you're alive. It's a really incredible, taunt thriller, and a great cathartic ending. So yeah, loved Weapons.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I disagree with your take that it's about school shootings. I don't think that's like completely off base, but I don't think it's like that's what this movie is. I don't think that's quite that simple. I think it's you can maybe read some stuff into that, but I don't think it's a clear one-to-one reading of that. But yeah, I think it's like I said, horror movies that are about something are always very good. So I'm glad to see this on your list.
Absolutely. So my number 8, Derek, what's your number 8 of the year?
Yeah, my number 8 is, I did my number 8, so I'm now on to number 7.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, your number 7 of the
year. Yeah. So my number 7 is a film from one of my favorite directors that came out early in this year, and that would be Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag.
I would do anything for you.
Would you?
Yes.
You got a breach.
One of our people stole something.
You cannot imagine the damage. Find the leak.
Give me 2 weeks.
Thousands of innocent people will die.
Okay, 1 week. Who's the suspect?
Your wife.
So this is just a really just sleek, sexy thriller that it's the kind of they say they don't make them anymore. That's such a cliche, but kind of they don't make them anymore. This is just you've got a bunch of like really attractive movie stars. They're doing sexy, cool spy shit, and that's how the movie there. It's just tension, just back and forth tension between these people. You're not sure who you can trust, who you can believe. Like I said, it's very attractive people doing really awesome things. So yeah, another movie that really did not get seen by that many people, which is just a shame. But really great performances from everyone involved, but especially Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender. Really just a great performance as this kind of like spy couple that's married. And do they trust each other? Do they love each other? They're out here being sexy and spying on people, and old man James Bond is there now, like running the spy agency, and it's just a lot of fun. Like, this movie is just a blast.
Yeah, and kind of similar to Mastermind, I feel like this movie also had this kind of hazy lens over everything, and kind of called back to older spy movies of yore. Yeah, I really like this as well. Very, very like 90-minute spy thriller. Yeah, exactly. Very good.
Exactly. It's just a simple spy thriller. You got a little bit of a twisting plot, but it just gets in and out in the time that it needs to. Got cool explosions and betrayals, and but it all comes down to, at the end, this like just tense game of like trying to figure out who was the traitor. It's just people in a room talking is the finale of this movie.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it, or maybe we will later, but like scenes of the year. This has one of my favorite scenes of the year, the lie detector test of her. What was the question of like, do you have orgasms, or how would something like that, right? There was some question.
Something like that, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes of the year was in that movie. Yes, definitely. Very, very good pick there. So that was your number 7. My number 7 movie of 2025 is Yorgos Lanthimos' Begonia.
Greetings. Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership?
Okay. In the next 48 hours.
I mentioned in my blog post that this movie pushed out Eddington as the like movie of now, the movie of 2025, the movie about America now, and all of the rough shit in here, all of the ugly spots that were exacerbated by COVID, all of the dumb fucking Joe Rogan, Dunning-Kruger assholes that think they know everything. This is definitely a very good depiction of those people. Can we talk spoilers? Have you seen this film, and can I talk spoilers about this film?
I haven't. Maybe I should just take my headphones off for a second so that, you know what, just spoil it. It's okay. Spoil it for me.
Okay. So the big thing that people, I think, had an issue with and bumped on very much. So the conspiracy theorists, the premise, and where they kidnap Emma Stone because they believe she is an alien. She can contact their ship. And their plan is to kidnap her, torture her, and force her to, I believe it was just tell the ship to fuck off, or to go back with the ship and never come back, or something along those lines. I'm still not sure what their plan was. Again, they're dumbasses, so it doesn't really matter. Throughout the movie, you're kind of going back and forth. Is she an alien? Isn't she? It very much picks up in the last half hour, where many people die. And so one of them comes back into the room. Jesse Plemons' brother dies. He comes back into the basement, says, "What happened here?" She's like, "I am an alien person. I am the leader. You fucked up, and your brother is dead, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Holy shit, I knew it." And so fight happens. She gets injured. He gets injured. Or no, sorry. Jesse Plemons takes Emma Stone back to her office, and she's like, "I'm going to contact my ship right now." And he's like, "Cool." And she starts touching things on a clearly just a calculator. And she's like, "Okay, you need to go into this closet here and then you'll be beamed out to my ship. He's like, okay, cool. This whole time he has a bomb strapped to himself. And so when he goes into the closet, he blows up and his head flies into her face and knocks her out. Cut to she being transported to an ambulance. She jumps out of the ambulance, goes back into the office, actually goes in the closet, and is actually transported to her ship. She was an alien the whole time. So one of the things people have bumped on in this movie, and I understand why, is like, so the asshole piece of shit conspiracy theorist was right. And to me, that doesn't matter, because what happens at the very end is that she goes into the ship. She says, yes, I was abducted. They shaved my head, so I couldn't contact the ship. These guys are fucking crazy. Let's kill them all. And everyone, all the other aliens around her is like, yeah, okay, if you say so. And everyone dies. Everyone on Earth is dead. So it's like, yes, they were right, but because of what they did, because of their actions directly, everyone fucking died. So I don't think this movie gives them any credence whatsoever. I don't think this movie is, saying, yeah, actually, you should listen to conspiracy theorists because they're right. No, they're bad and they're wrong. And even though even in their rightness, they still killed everyone. So it doesn't matter that they were right. So that's how Begonia, that's Begonia.
Okay. You know what? I don't know if this one would have been on my list. There's a reason I didn't see this. It was not like The Mastermind where I was really trying to see it. But maybe I liked Poor Things a lot, so who knows?
Yeah. It's you should still watch it, even though I told you a little everything about it. But yeah, very good Emma Stone performance. Really want to shout. Yeah, I really want to shout out Aidan Delbus in his first acting role. Somebody, he's not self-diagnosed, but he is, on the autism spectrum, and he's playing somebody on the autism spectrum. So I really think that will hopefully, knock down the door for other people like him to have similar roles. Great film. My number 7.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, Derek, what's your number 6 movie of 2025?
So with my number 6 movie of 2025, we are going up. We're staying golden. We are going with K-pop Demon Hunters.
Hey, this is the men's bathhouse. Get out of here.
They're stealing the souls of our fans? Let's send those disgusting demons back to the depths where they belong! Yeah!
So this movie really surprised me with how much fun it was. It kind of came out of nowhere. Huge phenomenon, obviously, sing-alongs, all that stuff. But as far as just like a really interesting mashup, it's like, as the title, it's these K-pop, stars who are hunting down demons. And it's as much as fun as that would sound like. It's also got really incredible music, just a banging soundtrack. I've listened to Golden so many times. But it's also this really beautiful movie about like self-acceptance and family trauma and, all of this stuff, the music industry. It's really great. It's got some incredible action, has really just great like dynamics between this group of female performers that I was a fan of. Essentially every well-known Korean actor shows up in this at some point, at least well-known to Americans. You have both of for example the both stars from Lost who played the Koreans on Lost show up in this. But yeah, Rumi's just the coolest. Love seeing her chop up demons. Small spoiler for the movie gets real early on, but she is part demon. She's trying to destroy these demons because she knows that is a part of herself, and she can essentially cut that out if she destroys all the demons. And the way that she goes on this journey of self-discovery and finds acceptance with her friends, even though she believes they will never come to accept her, is really good. And it's just really good looking, cool animated movie. Like it's just got a lot of fun stuff in it. Besides the songs, there's some really good action sequences. There's, classic cartoon stuff like people's eyes turn into hearts and then to turn into popcorn or to, corn that turns into popcorn. They eat it. Just all this ridiculous, insane stuff that you could only do in an animated movie. It just feels like a blast. It was one of the most fun times I had watching a movie this year.
I did have a lot of fun with this movie as well. Should I say where it is? It's not my top 10, but should I say where it landed in my
Sure. Go ahead.
Number 15. So very close to top
nice.
10.
Yeah,
I like this movie a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking with my niece at Christmas, and it is her number one. So, we're in agreement with that.
Yeah, my Andy, his 9-year-old, she dressed up as one of the K-pop demon hunters, and I believe that's probably her favorite movie from this year as well. I think I was texting back and forth with him because we have. It's good I mentioned this now because I would have forgotten to do it, but I have a clip from Dion as well to play when we get to the spot where his movie landed. I was cajoling him like, Andy, please make an audio thing for this, and he didn't quite do it. But yeah, I believe that would have been his number one movie as well. Nice. Just it's a great. I love it. We know this. I love animated movies. I love Korean animated movies. I love Japanese animated movies. What was the Japanese animated movie you were talking about? Not Look Back, but there was. I think it was. Oh, it wasn't Japanese animated. It was the Stray, not Stray, the cat movie where the cat's alone and he's in this.
Yeah, that's isn't that Stray? Or
no, Stray was the name of the video game with the cat.
It's something. It's like it's like short. It's like 4 letters. It's like it starts with an S. Flow.
Yes. So I enjoyed that very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do very much like that the actual the people that did the vocals are coming out now and be like a real K-pop group. I love their performance at the Thanksgiving Day parade. I think they did a New Year's Eve performance as well. Yes, that's very cool. So yeah, great movie. I love the. Oh yes, I think I saw this around the same time I saw. Chainsaw Man as well. So I was like, all right, I'm on this high of Asian animated stuff during that point. So yeah, going back to my roots as a degenerate 15-year-old, bringing it all back.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Classic Damien.
Damien. So yeah, nice. Great pick. That was your number 6?
6.
All right, so we're getting up there. All right, so but yeah, my number 6 movie of 2025 is Sorry Baby.
Something pretty bad happened to me.
Did it just happen?
No. It was a little over 3 years ago.
Well, that's not that much time.
I know this is hard to talk about.
It doesn't feel that you know that.
We know what you're going through. We are women.
What?
I know
this is the directorial debut of Ava Victor, they, them. Ava crafted an incredible movie, not just a first time outing, first time directing, first time acting, first time writing, and just knocked it out of the park. It's really, really ambitious to do all that stuff with your first feature. Do you know the premise of this film?
No, I don't. What's this film about?
So Ava plays a woman who's going out for, I think she's in graduate school. She's writing a paper, and her professor, they get, kind of close, and he sexually assaults her, and the rest of the movie is kind of about her dealing with the fallout of that, not just the emotional and physical, stuff she has to deal with, but also, legal stuff and criminal stuff, and her talking to somebody else and saying we should, burn down his office, and trying to be talked out of that, and her, she's very much stalled out and living in the same place she was living in and trying to get out of that rut. And yeah, it's just, a similar vein of like a Kelly Reichardt, small, quiet indie, drama. And she's, Ava Victor is very, very good in this movie. Let me pull up other people, because it's actually, for a first feature, I think it's a very, not star-studded, but the supporting cast does very well as well. You have Naomi Ackie, who is in Mickey 17 and Rise of Skywalker. Louis Caselmi. Let me see if anybody know anything else he was in. Oh yeah, you know this guy. This guy has like one of those that guy faces. Let me post this in here and you'd be like, yes, that fucker. That guy has a fucking asshole looking face.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Know that. Lucas Hedges from 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and John Carroll Lynch, who has kind of the linchpin scene of this movie where he kind of talks to Ava during one of her low points. So yeah, just a really great. I very much admire this movie for all the reasons I mentioned. First time feature. Director, writer, actor. It's so much about. I said in my blog post, it's very much about like not just a broken system, but a system where she goes to her advisors, and her advisors, basically tell her because the professor quit and is no longer working for the school. They're just like, yeah, there's really nothing we can do legally. And they say to her, yeah, we understand what you're going through. We're women. And it's just that condescending tone that everyone gives you. I wrote that, so many people in our lives, teachers and coaches and bosses and police and everybody in our lives always say, yeah, we're here. We understand. We're listening. We hear you. We'll help you. Come to us with any problems, and it's such bullshit. I think this movie does a really good job of talking about that stuff. So yeah, my number 6 is Sorry Bebe.
Yeah, another one that I meant to see but just did not get around to.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting description there. So might have to check this one out.
Yeah, very good movie. Derek, what's your number 5 of 2025?
My number 5 of 2025 is one that we've already talked about, and that would be Weapons. So like yourself, I quite enjoyed this movie. It, I'd heard about how good it was for a while. It kind of, I thought Krager's first film was solid, not my favorite movie, but I'd heard a lot of people talking about how good this was, and it was this horror movie that just made all this money out of nowhere. And I was like, all right, I'll check this thing out. And it started to draw me in right away, where there's this mysterious thing that happens, and like you said, it's the way that the story is told, where you are just getting bits and pieces of information, because you'll get the whole point of view of this one person, or the whole story from what happened to them, and you're getting just these chunks of information, and then you get the next person's story and you get a little bit more of the picture. So you're like, okay, well, they were over here, this person was doing this, and I can see that the kids were Naruto running and they were going this certain direction. And I was worried that this movie was just kind of going to leave things ambiguous. You weren't going to know what happened to these kids, but they do reveal it. And once you find out what happened, that it was a spooky, creepy witch with bad hair, you're incredibly interested. It doles out the information so deliberately and so slowly, and then you come to meet this character who's just absolutely unforgivable and despicable. And like you said, the ending for that character is just so perfect. It is so great. And the last line in this movie is absolutely haunting. There's some really just great horror visuals in this, some really horrific stuff, but never feels like over the top. It's not something you can't handle. And when there is something really gross, you're almost cheering for certain things to happen. Incredible performances all around. Everyone in this kind of sucks, but in a way that is relatable. Not like, I don't know if there's anybody in this that is like, oh, here's like, the good guy. And maybe if there is one, they're like Benedict Wong and his husband, their character, they kind of meet a very unfortunate fate. But yeah, all of the, a lot of the people who get their point of views, Julia Garner's character, Josh Brolin's, Aiden Einright's character, like they kind of suck, but in ways that you understand them, you kind of like them. So yeah, I think this movie was just a lot of fun, really great storytelling, really just great mystery involved in it, and a movie that I will be returning to over the years for sure.
Oh yeah, I've been returning to this one for quite some time. It's got so many, not quotable lines, but just memorable moments, like visually memorable moments. Obviously, the visuals of the kid running, the visuals of people's eyes popping out of their heads, the visuals of the Benedict Wong and his boyfriend sitting down to eat 4 hot dogs and buns and all of that stuff. And like this movie seems like it was, completely crafted and completely just pulled out of Zach Cregger's head and pulled directly onto the screen. So yeah, great pick there.
Thank you. Yeah, this was like I said, this was a late edition. I watched this one late because I was had heard so many good things about it, and I was like, well, I need to watch this before the end of the year. Watching it, I wasn't sure over the course of the movie how it was going to land, if it was going to get on the list, but that ending was so phenomenal. I was like, all right, it's got to be on. And then I eventually bumped it all the way up to number 5.
Yes, very good pick. All right, so that was your number 5. My number 5 movie of 2025 is Sentimental Value.
Vi sätter oss ner och pratar, du och jag. Ska inte det?
Syns jag kanske det är lite vanskelig, Anna.
Men jag vet inte, det har varit svårt för det.
Like I said in my review, Renata Reisfed is Bae. She is Queen. I love her. Didn't really know of her work before 2021's Worst Person in the World, but since then I went back and watched a few of the stuff she was in. She was very quickly in Oslo, August 31st, another Joachim Trier film. Since then she's been in a couple different things. Most notably, A Different Man with Sebastian Stan. I guess she's going to be in another Sebastian Stan movie coming out next year. But yeah, she really elevated this movie for me completely. I don't know if this movie would be anywhere in my top 10 without her. I think she has just like Nomi Merlant from Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I think she's very similar way of her stillness and restraint of that stuff, and similar vibes of Greta Lee from Past Lives. So yes, like I said, I'll be glazing her. I glazed her a lot in my review, but doing some more glazing here. But yeah, it really elevated it because I think the overall structure of the movie is much more complicated and kind of bogs it down much more than Worst Person in the World did. I talked about when I saw the movie, but Worst Person in the World definitely had this laser focus on Renata Reisfed's character, just about her and her growth as a character, and so her growth, but also her backsliding too. So I thought that character was also much more interesting here. But I think everything together with Renata Reisfed, the heft of Stellan Skarsgård in this, the sister, played by, let me see if I have it here. Her sisters. Have you seen this yet? You saw this.
Yes, I did watch this one
about a month ago. Yeah. Trying to find her name in here. Why can't I find it? But yeah.
It's very Scandinavian. I do have it in front of me, but I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
Let's try that.
Very Scandinavian.
Extraordinarily Scandinavian. Let me see here. Let me pull up her thing here. Yes, they said it on the show on The Big Pick today, so I think it's Inga Ipsater Lilius. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, her playing her sister in this. But then Elle Fanning. Talk about people having big years. Elle Fanning with this and with Predator Badlands. I just went back and watched. What was she in? Sofia Coppola's. Her
Beguiled.
movie, the Beguiled, and also Somewhere. I watched Somewhere for the first time. So. Checked out both of her movies, so yeah, big year for her as well. But yeah, it's a huge movie, a huge scope for sentimental value. It's about Stellan Skarsgård character who made a movie about Norwegian resistance to the Nazi occupation. There's so much in this movie, but it's like I said, Renata really elevates this stuff. So yeah, sentimental value, my number 5 of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this movie as well. I think, along with Renata, that Stellan Skarsgård, as you mentioned, really good. Elle Fanning, her sister, they're all really giving great performances. It's interesting because it's kind of a half of a foreign movie, but half of a English language movie. They kind of switch back and forth. And one thing I appreciate about this is that, a lot of these movies that are about generational trauma and like inheriting stuff like that, they're very negative, whereas this one, it feels very cozy, feels like, healing. It's also a lot about the movies, the movie industry. I thought that was fun. I thought that was cool. I really liked the way that it kind of sets this, the fake reality against their real reality, and how those things kind of like have this Venn diagram over where he wants to shoot in the house that they actually grew up with. So yeah, I found this movie to be quite good.
Quite good, yes. All right. That was my number 5. Derek, what's your number 4 movie of 2025?
My number 4 movie is it's the only one I think that I had on my most anticipated movies of the year list that actually made it onto my top 10, and that is Rian Johnson's third film, a Benoit Blanc film, Wake Up, Dead Man.
It is time to discover what this flock of wicked wolves is hiding.
There's some Scooby-Doo shit going on here.
Scooby-Doo.
This movie, I think overall it's not quite as strong as a mystery of Knives Out or even Glass Onion, but as far as like the themes go that this movie is talking about, it was right dead center on stuff that I'm interested in. It's the same reason that I loved Conclave so much last year. It's this movie about religion and the way that religion works, and how people approach it, and how different people manipulate it, because Benoit Blanc, who is it's not like he's just not having any character arc or anything. He does have a really strong emotional journey, but he basically encounters this priest, played by Josh O'Connor. So this is my Josh O'Connor pick that I had mentioned earlier.
Gotcha.
Who for me represents the good parts of a religion, the parts of a religion that I knew when I was growing up. Parts about compassion, about forgiveness, and about embracing your enemy, and about just finding it in your heart to be a good person. And he's somebody who has violence within him that he has to suppress because he wants to help out his fellow man and lead them to a better understanding. The actual, if you go and read the Bible, close to the actual teachings of Jesus, and then you have the character played by Josh Brolin, the Monsignor Wicks, who is this vile, despicable person he's very reminiscent of someone all these pastors, these mega people who are complete hypocrites, who just use anger and vitriol and want to wage a holy war in the name of Jesus, and like just yell and scream about Christianity, but actually don't believe in any of the actual tenets of Christianity. And it's about just waging a war for them. And the way that these two kind of characters headbutt against each other, with Daniel Craig, who is, as the movie hints, he's a lapsed Catholic, which is very, very fitting, given that Rian Johnson, who directed it, was a very religious person, and he eventually lapsed in his own faith. Feels like almost like a stand-in for him, but even he comes to see, he doesn't like go back to religion or anything. He sees like the good parts of it. He sees the compassion. He sees the forgiveness. And the way this movie ends, where there is a real, these movies always end with like a big speech telling you how you did it. I love the way that he kind of leads the other person to basically confess their crime. So yeah, Wake Up Dead Man, I think it really, really worked for me on this level of like where organized religion is today, and what it should be and what it actually is, and those two forces bumping up against each other. So I've seen it. I've watched it a couple times already. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's great. Great. Well said. It's another theme running throughout a lot of these movies this year. And, maybe it's on the nose, maybe it isn't, but it's just like, these things exist, and there's mega churches and mega pastors doing really shitty things in the name of religion, in the name of Jesus and God and all of that. And yeah, we see it every day. We see these faux Christian fascists being like, yeah, exactly. Jesus doesn't want immigrants in here. Jesus doesn't want drugs, and Jesus doesn't want, all these things that Democrats want. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? What are you actually talking about? It's the Christo-fascist nation that we're becoming, not just probably some weird amalgamation of like you said, a military dictatorship, Christo-fascist fucking nation where it's just like praise Jesus, praise guns, praise the military. That's fuck. And this movie really nails that stuff. Yeah. Give me one of these every couple of years. Give me a Daniel Craig, Benoit Blanc movie. Glenn, I think, you talk about Josh O'Connor being in this, and he played a very, very good role. I think his American accent's pretty on point. I felt it slip a few times there, but pretty well on point. Glenn Close is one of those people. I think there's a couple movies this year with people in it like her where I'm like, where have you been? Where did you go? Why is nobody hiring you? Do more like this. Glenn Close was probably the standout for me of this movie. Josh Brolin, very good as well. Jeremy Renner, coming back from his first major role after his accident. Good to see him doing stuff. I think, Kelly Spaney was very good. I don't want to just, dump on too many people here, because I think Mila Kunis and Andrew Scott are probably the weak point of this movie. Didn't have too much to do, didn't really feel too much about their character too much. Jeffrey Wright played a small part in this. Thomas Hayden Church, again, another one of those guys.
He's so good in it. He's so good in it.
So very good, yeah. One of my favorites of the year. I think that I have this at my number 17, I think. Yes, 17.
Okay, nice, yeah.
My overall list, yep.
Yeah, very nice. And there's so much just great symbolism in this movie, like about, faith and everything. Like the cross, like it's, some of it's very obvious, like the cross that's just missing, there's the big blank space. It's like, oh, what do you know? Jesus has gone from this church. Wonder what that's supposed to represent. There's a lot of really good stuff like that in this movie that I found, very, very powerful and moving. And just like Conclave, it's something where it's saying, well, there is these horrible forces that are out there in organized religion, but just because you're a believer and somebody who has faith doesn't mean that you need to be aligned with them and be a bad person. So I really dug Josh O'Connor's performance so much in this movie.
Yes. Very good stuff. All right. So that was your number 4. My number 4 of 2025 is Sinners.
It's all better now.
Yes, I lied to you.
I don't believe in magic. Ghosts, demons. Just power.
Somebody please take me.
This is a movie that I think is the most radical on my list. There is a movie higher up that I think is, like I said at the beginning, perceived as being radical, which I think is less so than this movie. I think Sinners is radical because of its depiction of race relations, and definitely between the Irish and the black people in this movie. I think if you look at the history of the United States, it's the Irish that came to this country, were demonized. Maybe not in the same way or to the same degree as others, but they were definitely demonized. The Irish Catholic was a thing where, to JFK, people not remember, like, oh my God, a Irish Catholic elected president? What? And now, 2025, like, yeah, so, but back then it was a big deal because they didn't like them. The U.S. did not like any immigrants. You go back and watch Gangs of New York. That's very much what Gangs of New York was about. Yeah. Was about, people coming to this country and just being used for votes. But yeah, back to Sinners. This movie is radical in that it's saying that white people took the eternal life of the vampire. These, spoilers, I guess, for this movie, I guess. Is that I don't know if the premise or the kind of setup is spoilers, but yeah, spoilers for Sinners if you haven't seen it. Jack O'Connor, not what's his name? Wake Up Dead Man. Not Josh O'Connor. Jack O'Connor in Sinners. Jack O'Connell. Becomes a vampire and slowly starts to vampirize the black owners of a newly minted nightclub that Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, playing twins in this movie, set up so they can have a place to relax and have fun in. And the Irish come in, and the Irish vampires slowly start to assimilate and take over that establishment. So I think in that way, this movie's allegory is that, the Irish population took on jobs in the government. They became policemen. They became, governors. They became people in power. Instead of using that power to help their fellow downtrodden, they just used it to, assimilate them and to attack them and to corral them in a lot of different ways. So I think that's very much what this movie is about, the way that, similar to like the Borg in Star Trek, where the simulation, you just become a Borg. All of your ideas and all of your culture and all of that stuff gets washed away. And I think that's very much what this movie is saying too. Is that you might become rich, you might become powerful, you might have this sort of immortality, but what are you losing in that process? So I think that's a very astute observation. I like the way he uses the vampire curse to sort of deliver that allegory. So yeah, really. And then of course I have to talk about that scene in this movie where I think it's stunning. I've never seen anything like it. And I think everyone's been talking about the scene where they're in the nightclub and the camera's circling the dance floor, and as it's circling, as it's moving, you see that time period, but then 10 years later, what's the clothing like, what's the sound like, what's the dance like, and then 10 years later rap and hip-hop and all that stuff gets brought in. So yeah, I got to revisit this because I only saw it the one time, but just talking about it makes me want to revisit it. Yeah,
very nice. Yeah, this movie's a lot of fun. I think you're spot on with a lot of what you're saying about the way that it's like the race relations, and you have these Irish immigrants and how they are trying to hold on to their culture, and the way that they because the vampire played by O'Connell he's obviously despicable, but he's someone who's also like, I need to get my culture back, and the way he can do it is by getting you in this. So big fan of this. I did recently get to rewatch. I watched it when it first came out, and I watched it. They did recently in IMAX re-release. Seeing this thing in IMAX was fucking awesome.
Nice. I definitely want to do that at some point. All right, that was my number 4. Derek, what is your number 3 movie of the year?
My number 3 is Marvel's back, baby. It is Thunderbolts.
You can't outrun the emptiness.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
We all have things that we regret.
But I have so many.
Yeah, so I really, really love this movie. Obviously, it did not perform as well financially as some of the other, Marvel films of recent years, or even DC films. But I love this movie. I'm always a sucker for movies about, found families. This feels just so much deeper and more interesting than what it at least appeared to be at first. Where it's just like we're taking these, B to D tier Marvel characters and kind of cramming them together on a team. But it's so much about just, depression and, fighting these dark days and demons within yourself. And my joking review on Letterboxd was, Marvel fights their greatest villain of all time, intrusive thoughts, because that's kind of what the big final battle, like the big Marvel battle, comes down to, which are often just, big CG things. It was really about something. They're going into these dark memories, these people who have, done these horrible things and are trying to find a way to live with themselves, and find self-acceptance and to forgive themselves and each other, and finding ways to move on and be good people. And it does that all while being a really, really good superhero movie at the same time. These characters are, they are very flawed, but at the same time, you're really rooting for them. They're very likable. Yelena, in particular, as the kind of, the lead of this ensemble, played brilliantly by Florence Pugh. She is just so, so good in this movie, as is everyone around her. But I think she is one of the new, rising stars of Marvel. I'm excited to see what they would do with her in the future. It's a bummer that this one didn't do better. I hope that that doesn't mean we won't see more of these characters because it has been a pretty positive reception. But the fact that they were able to cram this deep emotional movie about trauma and acceptance into a big budget summer Marvel blockbuster is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, my favorite scene was the post credits where they're going to be talking to the Fantastic Four. No,
no. They don't see the Fantastic Four. There's just a ship.
No, I agree with everything you said. Yeah, this is the highlight of my one of my highlights of the year, just in terms of, did this come out first or did Fantastic Four come out first?
This came out before Fantastic Four, but after Captain America, Brave New World.
Brave New World, yeah.
Which was bad.
It was bad, yeah. Still haven't seen it. This is part one of the 2 Marvel movies in a row, finally, that they're putting out. It's like, yes, 2 in a row. We're back. Maybe, hopefully, maybe. Everyone was great in this. I think Florence Pugh is probably one of the best actors they've picked up in the MCU. Really excited to see how she gels with everyone else going forward. Sebastian Stan is the elder statesman of the MCU, so it's really great to see him sort of leading the charge there in a way. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I like to see her again in the mix with everybody else. David Harbour, it's just the whole movie was, what are they going to do together? How are they going to mix? How is the dynamic going to work there? Geraldine Viswanathan is one of those people that I'm always excited to see pop up in things. She was the other lead in Drive Away Dolls, right, from a couple of years ago. Yeah. Yes, yeah. So really well shot, good action choreography, very funny when it needed to be. But yeah, you're right. The hardest thing was facing your demons, facing your depression, facing your, I don't want to do this. This is hard. There's no point in this. This guy is too strong. We literally can't do anything to this guy. He's just a god. And I definitely want to see more of not Wyatt Russell, who was Lewis Pullman, Sentry. Definitely want to see him in the mix coming up with Secret Wars and Doomsday. But yeah, it's very much about sometimes you can't just punch a guy, and I think that's something the MCU has had to deal with in the past, and I think it was unexpected to see that in this movie. Where how are we gonna end this movie? Another fighty thing, another punchy punch thing? No, we're gonna actually sit down and talk about our feelings. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that ending where, the Sentry is just starting to make people disappear, it was genuinely kind of horrific. Like, it felt like something out of, a Zach Krager movie or something, where it's just, he's just sticking his hand out, you just see a kid vanish. It's almost like, the Hiroshima, like the just shadow left. So really just horrific and great ending that I thought was really, really well done film.
Nice. All right. So that was your number 3 of the year. Mm-hmm. My number 3 is Train Dreams. Clint Bentley's Train Dreams.
Beautiful, ain't it?
What is?
All of it. Every bit of it.
Yeah, probably no surprise. I put it this high in my top 3 of the year. Said in my review that if I had to reduce myself to one movie this year, it would definitely be this. Just in the terms of how I look at the world, I take a pretty long commute now. For the past year, I've been taking a commute. It's about 45 minutes every day, and even though I see the same trees, see the same streets, same whatever. Not every day, but a lot of days I'll look out and like, wow, that's really beautiful. That's a nice sunset. That's a nice sunrise. That's a nice whatever. So I think in that way, this movie is very much about me, where all these characters are just sitting and thinking. And when William H. Macy's character is dying, and he turns to Joel Edgerton's character and he's like, beautiful, ain't it? And Robert replies, what is? And he's like, all of it, every bit of it. So yeah, that's very much how I we'll sort of look at the world and think about the world. And, I think we just need to slow down and take it in for, sometimes like that. So yeah, it's, trying to looking through my review to talk about this movie, but yeah, it's just a beautiful ass movie. It's obviously highly reminiscent of the Terrence Malick movies, the way it's shot, the sunsets, the lighting, all of that stuff. It's, I think I had some questions to ask you in the other document about, like, is this person real? Was it really his daughter? All of that stuff. But at the end, it kind of doesn't matter. It's all about his journey and him coming to terms with his solitude and his isolation and his loneliness. And yeah, it's a goddamn heartbreaking thing. But yeah, I was lucky enough to see this in theaters before Netflix scooped it up, put it on their service. But yeah, very, very hard-hitting, emotional thing. So yeah, it's Train Dreams.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate a vibes movie like this. Just kind of like Joel Edgerton. It's almost like the thing they say about movies, like it's like a tone poem where he's just kind of looking at the world, and there's sequences that jump ahead or jump back. Just really just a movie about like the kind of beauty in everyday life, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. All right, so that's my number 3. Derek, what's your number 2 film of 2025?
So yeah, my number 2 film was your number 4 film. So of course we're going to be talking about Sinners again.
Nice.
Yeah, I obviously thought this was for all the reasons you loved it. The way that it touches on these really interesting and complex themes about race in America. Obviously you have all these black characters, but then you have this Irish character who is someone who also got pushed off of his lands, and he's the villain, but he's also he's a vampire, obviously, so it's not good, but he's offering them immortal life. You also have characters like Haley Steinfeld, who's a character who is, I think she's a quarter or an eighth black, and, she's white passing, but how does she kind of like flow between these two worlds? You have Asian characters, it's not a simple dichotomy, it's a very complex web. But beyond that, it's just also just a really great movie about set in the South in the 30s where they are fighting against vampires. It's awesome. You have, and it's a slow burn too. It's a lot of people have been comparing it to From Dusk Till Dawn. It's not really like that movie, except for the fact that the vampires don't really become a thing, in the plot until about halfway through. But it's also just about, trying to. It's interesting because it's a movie that is about striking out on your own. These two brothers who are trying to start their own business and make it for themselves, and then it's Ryan Coogler this is a movie that he is going to get the rights back to. It's a not independent film, but it's a film that is not based on any pre-existing IP. I think since 2017, it's the movie that did the best at the box office without having been based on any pre-existing IP. Like I said, just really cool vampire stuff happening in this, where they're in a isolated place. Their vampires are trying to get them. It really plays on all those great horror tropes, but also at the same time, all these action tropes. There's the way that the plot kind of develops. You get very invested in what is happening to these characters as they're slowly getting picked off. And then, ultimately there's a post-credit scene where you see what happened with some of the characters later on in life that I thought was really well done. There's also a scene where he just shoots a bunch of guys in the KKK, which is awesome. So,
Yes.
Honestly, this one very easily could have been my number 1. I went back and forth between this and my number 1 pick, and it could have gone either way.
Yeah. Do you want to give shout outs to some below the line stuff, especially Ludwig Göransson nailing the score again in this one. Mr. Oppenheimer does a lot of Mr. Composer nowadays. He's the Jeff O'Connor of scores. He's just out there doing everything. Ruthie Carter worked, of course, with on the Black Panther films with Ryan Coogler. Yeah, just great stuff all around. Yep.
Yeah, and it's so cool. You talked about the dual performances from Michael B. Jordan. There was a lot of that, strangely, this year. There's a lot of dual performances, but he was so good as both of these characters, Smoke and Stack, and kind of switching back and forth. You could always tell who is who, and what ends up happening to both of these characters feels very fitting.
Yes. All right, so that was your number 2 movie of the year. All right. My number 2 film of 2025 is Hamnet.
he lives not. You should go to London. That place in your head, it is now more real to you than anywhere else.
I am myself indifferent on it. Again.
Do you not wonder what is in it?
This is a movie I talked about sneaking it into my list sort of at the last moment. I think I saw it near the end of December, maybe middle December. But anyways, yeah, Chloe Zhao's Hamnet, obviously starring Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley. Been a huge fan of Jessie Buckley for actually a while now. I saw her first probably in, I'm thinking of Indie Things in 2020. Went back and watched her in Chernobyl. Kept up with her in The Lost Daughter. She was in Men, Women Talking. Yeah, she's one of my favorite actresses working right now. Paul Mescal is obviously fucking everywhere. After Sun, I think I saw early stuff of him. I still haven't seen Normal People, which I think was his breakout role. All the Strangers a couple years ago. But yeah, two of my favorite actors just working at the top of their game, I think. I think it's just... I know a lot of people are giving it short shrift for like it's so much acting. They're just screaming and moaning and groaning and all of this stuff. And I'm like, don't you go to movies for that? Like, aren't you? Isn't that kind of what we go to movies for this like larger than life performances and seeing our lives, projected back to us in a very exaggerated way. So I think I really did appreciate that part of it. And the music, I think we talked about the music at the end being emotionally manipulative, and I totally get that, but I think the scene worked and the movie worked despite that, not because of it. So yeah, I think, one of the themes running through my picks this year was also unadulterated melodrama. So I appreciated that very much as well. So yeah, it's just, to give a performance like that with the camera in your face and her just this raw, grief and emotion that's the end of this movie is incredible. And yeah, definitely loved this movie very much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that ending definitely worked on me. Like it was, I'm a huge fan of Jessie Buckley. I really hope she does secure a Best Actress nomination for this. She is, like you said, she is just doing all of the acting in this, and it really works for me. Especially that last, the last like sequence is really powerful, especially from her.
Yeah. So that was my number 2. Derek, what is your number 1 favorite movie of 2025?
My number 1 favorite movie of 2025, we all know what it is. It's my number 1. It's probably going to be your number 1. It's a bunch of people's number 1. Of course, I'm talking about a Minecraft movie.
Yeah, of course.
No.
Chicken Jockey.
Chicken Jockey, yeah. Skadoosh. I am talking about one battle after another.
You know what freedom is? What? No fear. Go.
Not one thing, it's another. Find that to be true.
Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. We've talked about this on the film before, but this is it's a 3-hour movie that is just, you never feel its length. It is just nonstop adrenaline, heart pumping stuff. You are just so tense. There's the action. You are like right in there with these characters who are going through it. The music is constantly building the tension of these characters. And while it is on one level just a crackerjack action film, think about that, the rolling hills at the end and how good and unique that is. It is also just a film about our times, the times we're living in today that are both unprecedented, but yet ones that have been building up to the year after year. It is that same thing of like, oh yeah, like our president is going to war in another country to try and take their world, just like the last Republican president and the one before that. And in the same way that it's dealing with, the ICE raids that are happening, it's like, yes, that also happened to the last presidents. It is so much worse now, but it is something that has been happening. And the way that the characters deal with this is so good because, like, I love that Leo as Bob Ferguson is just this burnt out liberal who has just been fighting these battles and is maybe not equipped to deal with it, but he is doing the best that he can for the people that he loves, including his daughter. Benicio del Toro in this as this kind of like Zen master, like is so phenomenally good. Sean Penn is this insane weirdo who is working for white supremacists despite having like a fetish for black women. Like it's so funny and poignant and heartbreaking and awesome, and it just works on every level that a movie should be. And yes, this is the movie we were talking about before that is probably going to win Best Picture. PTA is long overdue for winning his Oscar, and I think this is the time.
Yeah, well said. I will just talk about some of the other people in this movie. Leo and Benicio and Sean Penn, great, as are Tana Taylor playing Perfidia Beverly Hills. Great fucking name. Yeah. I wasn't familiar with her game very much. I saw her film 1001 from 2023, so I was a little bit familiar with her. But yeah, great performance. Kind of, goes away at a certain point in this film. Regina Hall's playing like the proxy, playing between the real world and the old world to get his daughter to try to gain the daughter's trust. Let's see, but of course, Chase Infinity in her first fucking acting role ever. Ever, working alongside Sean Penn in those scenes where he's just manhandling her must have been terrifying. And I think she beyond pulls it off. She's just one of the best performances I saw this year. Really will be very, very disappointed if she doesn't pick up any awards this award season. And everything you said about just the pushing back against fascism takes many forms. And I think just because this movie does a very good job of not making Leo the white savior, but I think the work that people he was working with were doing is important. I think you have to do the boring work. You have to write legislation. You have to get votes. You have to do all that shit. But sometimes you need to punch a Nazi in the face, and sometimes you need to fucking kill a Nazi, and sometimes you need to go to a detention center and free the immigrants, and sometimes that's part of it too. It's not just all one thing. So yeah, there are. This movie is also, this is the movie I've been alluding to, which people talked about as being radical. And I think it is radical in the sense that a major movie studio funded this and a major auteur American director made it. I just think the stuff in Sinners about racial relations and the way that, we look at that stuff to remember that stuff and how that's, like I said in the review, you can talk to older Irish Catholic relatives and be like, were you treated differently than you are now? And you probably get a very interesting answer. So, but despite all of the less radical nature of this movie, I think it's still one of the best movies I've seen in the last probably 10 years. I think it's really incredible what Benicio del Toro did with not just the senpai character, but the whole. He helped, if you go back and look at interviews with Paul Thomas Anderson and Benicio and Leo, they'll tell you that he came in and helped craft that sub-storyline of that sort of underground railroad thing that you see in the movie, which I think made one of the best parts, one of the best scenes, and one of the best acts of this movie. And then, of course, like you said, just the theater-going experience. Like I can't overestimate how important that it is to me, how important that is to culture, how important that is to my life. And if it goes away, it's not going to come back. Like I said in my review, it's COVID almost killed it. But if the conglomerations keep happening, then it will go away. And people need to understand that it's such a cathartic and communal thing. I saw this in Boston, and it was in the Vista Vision, which was fucking amazing. I loved it. I hope to see it again, and that made for an amazing experience. So need to shout out very quickly the score of this movie, done by Johnny Greenwood. Shout out the cinematography. I watched a bunch of behind the scenes of how they shot the chase scene that you were praising, and PTA talked about, the cinematographer talked about, Michael Bauman, how when they shot it, they came to the conclusion that it was done too well, that it looked fake, it didn't. There wasn't enough shake in the camera, I guess. So they actually loosened a couple of bolts or something and made it look how it is. Made it look like, you know, to immerse you in the car is actually shaking and going up and down hills. And I was just rewatching this a couple of days ago, that scene, and there's just nothing like it, actually. So yeah, all of that stuff, the best movie of the year. Like
I was about to say, you didn't officially name your number one pick. We're still talking. You kind of led into mine, but I'm guessing this is your number one as well, right?
This is my number one as well. My number one pick of 2025 is One Battle After Another. Let me start over. So yeah, it should win and probably will win. In a similar way that Oppenheimer was the lead movie of that year. You know, One Battle After Another has been the lead movie up until now. There's been a couple in the past couple weeks. There's been a couple award shows. The most recent one was Critics' Choice award show, and this one came away as winning the big prize there. So it probably will in March. So yeah, One Battle After Another, best movie of the year.
Nice. And yeah, we are in agreement with that. Yeah, both of us have the same number one pick for all the reasons we just spoke about. And yeah, just a movie that I am excited to go back to and rewatch.
Absolutely. All right. So with that, why don't we get to some of our honorable mentions? I don't know about you, Derek, but I ranked all of my honorable mentions. I'll just go through a couple and then throw to you. My number 11, right outside my top 10, was No Other Choice. Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. Loved his stuff previously. I loved Decision to Leave from a couple years ago. This is a movie about a person who loses their job and sets out to kill. He sets out to get another job, but he has competition and he decides to kill them to secure this new job. Love this movie. Definitely recommend checking this out.
Yeah. This one might have been on my list if I had been able to check it out. It doesn't get a release, a wide release beyond the just like qualifying run, which it got at like December 25th. It's getting a wider release on actually I think the day this comes out. So
nice.
It might show up on my 2026 list. We'll see.
That's the 26. Gotcha. Let me just mention a couple more and we'll go to you. EFIS, I've talked about this on my best of the year so far. I think it was pretty high up there at this point, and it stayed pretty high up. Yeah, great little movie about literally raging against the dying light. The last game of these guys' probably career, last game at this field. And just a great movie about nostalgia. That's that.
Do you want me to give it?
Give me 11 and 12.
Keep going. I mean, I didn't do this in a particular order, but I'll give you two here, which is a couple that almost made the list. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I think that has there ever been a more perfect combination of source material and director than Guillermo del Toro and Frankenstein? If there is, I haven't seen it. This is just as gothic and beautiful and weird as you would expect from that combination. Oscar Isaac is really great, although I think the movie really clicks into focus when it starts being from the monster, quote unquote, the creature's perspective in the second half, played by Jacob Elordi, who is absolutely fantastic in this. I also got to shout out Christoph Waltz and Mia Goth. But if you love Del Toro, if you love gothic shit, if you love Mary Shelley, then this is a absolute must see. That's one. Another one I'll mention is that almost made the list is Wick is Pain, the documentary about the making of the John Wick movies. This is not at all a just by the numbers behind the scenes thing. This is really about how difficult these movies were to be made, the fights that happened between the two initial directors, the just like insanity that needed to have these movies come together, the toll they took on Keanu Reeves' body. Wick is Pain is a mantra that comes up multiple times in it. And it just makes you appreciate how difficult movies are to get made and how difficult it is to get an awesome movie like this made.
Nice. Yeah. Sean Fennessy, I think, was talking about this, and also Dave Chen on the Filmcast today was talking about how the lack of documentaries on his list is kind of shocking, and it's kind of shocking to me too. I don't think I can even name one documentary that I really fell in love with or even really seen this year. There's a couple out right now. One called Cover Up on Netflix. About it's a new Laura Poitras doc. She made. Let's see, what did she make recently? I know there was one a couple of years ago that she put out that I was a huge fan of. You see, so yeah, she did Citizen 4. She did All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, about Nan Golden. And yeah, Cover Up is about Seymour Hersh, a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist who covered the My Lai massacre during the Vietnam War. So definitely want to catch up with that at some point.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I love docs. They're kind of a different thing than narrative film, but like it's always nice to at least shout one out in the honorable mentions.
Yeah, a couple more I'll just talk about quickly. Rental Family actually made it pretty high in my honorable mentions at number 13. This is a movie by Hikari starring Brendan Fraser, Takahiro Hira, and Mary Yamamoto. It is literally a found family movie. Brendan Fraser plays a guy living in Japan who gets an acting role, and it's kind of unconventional because he has to pretend to be this Japanese or this half American, half Japanese girl. He has to play her father so that her mother can get her into a good school. So he gets, one of those things where he gets attached to her and doesn't want to break the bond after the assignment is over. So it's a really good, nice little found family movie there. My number 14 is If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, the Mary Bronstein, Rose Byrne starring movie about a mother at the end of her rope. Just her life is literally and figuratively crashing around her. Her kid has a mysterious illness. Her husband is in the military, so he's off somewhere. It's also stars Conan O'Brien as her hostile therapist, and it's just it's like Uncut Gems if the main character is just a overworked mother. So definitely recommend checking that one out.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that one.
Yep. I mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters. K-pop Demon Hunters is at number 15. I have Mr. Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cloud at 16. I have Wake Up a Dead Man at 17. I have Die My Love at 18. Really enjoyed that as well. That's sort of a good combo with If I'd Like to Kick You, because Die My Love is also about a overwhelmed new mother who wants to walk into the woods or walk into the sea. Sort of a spoiler, I guess, for both of these movies. They both involve overwhelmed mothers wanting to walk into the burning forest or walk into the ocean. So it's very interesting that they both end in similar ways. A couple more. Predator Badlands I have at 19. I have Eddington, which is, I mentioned in my review, got kicked off pretty quickly when I saw things like Begonia, Sinners, and One Battle After Another, as they both are, playing with similar ideas and playing with similar structures and things like that. So, Derek, do you want to round out a couple more honorable mentions before we move on?
Sure. Are you done, or do you have any more?
Well, yeah, I have an entire list. I'll link. Yeah, Midnight Film Pod on
Okay,
Letterboxd.
I'm sure. Should I talk about a couple more or kick it back to you, or do you want me to just close out my list?
We'll close out the honorable mentions with your list. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I've got a few more. Had a couple superhero films that I liked a lot. Definitely not as much as Thunderbolts, but I quite enjoyed both the other Marvel. One of the other Marvel movies, Fantastic Four: First Steps, was a lot of fun. Found family movie, Marvel doing something different. Kind of a throwback, old school movie with some just fun old sci-fi stuff going on. And then James Gunn's Superman was just a really good, wholesome look at that character. Also, of the movies that were the sequels about anthropomorphic animals that have to kind of pull off this heist from this year, I thought one was a lot better than the other, and that was The Bad Guys 2. I loved The Bad Guys 2. Bad Guys 1 is great. Bad Guys 2, it's a kids heist film, and it just really is fun, and it works. And then one that kind of surprised me a little bit was Eternity with Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner, which is this really, it's one of those movies where it's like a high premise film. Someone who enters the afterlife. Both of her husbands have, previous husbands that died. You have Miles Teller, who she had been married to for 60 years, and you have Caitlin Turner, who had been married to her when they were both young, and he had died in the Vietnam War, so they never really got a life together. So it's kind of this thing about, well, what do you choose? Do you choose the person that you spent your life with, or do you choose your like long lost love that is basically just like this perfect guy? Really interesting movie about just love and loss and all of this stuff, and gets a little bit existential, which I always appreciate. So yeah, that rounds out my list of honorable mentions.
All right. And before I forget, before we get too far away from the top 10, let me play Dion's voicemail that he left.
Oh, yes. Let's hear it.
Yeah, describing his pick for number 1 and why he picked it.
Greetings and salutations, Pod Sea World. Longtime friend of the show and former co-host. It's your boy, Deej. Here to tell you my number 1 movie of 2025. Count me down. 3, 2, 1.
1.
Pause for sound effects. One battle after another. Great premise. Daughter of a revolutionary getting swept up. Complex relationship with her father. Multiple standout characters. Taylor, she's so chaotic. Infinity, Del Toro, the real bad hombre. DiCaprio, putting off that real tired dad energy. Penn, with its top 5 punchable face. Cinematography, on point. Highway chase, obviously. Other small scenes, such as the bank robbery. Profita walking the bridge, looking at the camps at night. Dirty work, the karate scene, raiding of the detention camps in the town. And then, it's just dialogue all around, powerful dialogue. Ocean waves, love you, Bob, Jungle Pussy's bank instructions, Bob's telephone calls, daddy-daughter games. It's just a sense of messiness and tone that resonates so much with modern day world. The raids, detentions, interrogations felt super unsettling and cognate. Just the themes, other themes that it was putting off. Ultimately, I found it's a film about the human condition. Life is a cyclical struggle, alienation, misery. Your only freedom is to free yourself from the fear. The nature of people is to betray, to control, to revolt. None of it matters, though, because it's just one battle after another. See what I did? Yeah. All right. Happy holidays, boys.
Thank you, Dion, for that. Yeah, voice message about
good to hear his voice again.
Right? Yeah. So there's that. Okay, so we did our honorable mentions, did all the setup there. Let's see. What do we want to do? Want to do the announcement? I have an announcement about my things I'll be doing this year for 2026. Want me to do that now?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Let's do my announcement. Okay, so every 2 years, just like the Olympics, one of the most anticipated events in the world comes back around. Some call it a challenge, others an obligation, others still an opportunity. In the year of our Lord 2026, for the 4th time in 5 years, I, Damian J. Sherman, will be competing in the One Movie a Day Challenge. In addition, I have thrown down an additional gauntlet in the year of our Lord 2022. I saw a personal best 432 films. In 2024, I saw 50 films in theaters. Will I match or beat these records? Stick around and find out.
All right, let's see. Well, I'm going to be tuned in. How far are you? We're 6 days in. Have you been keeping pace?
I have been keeping pace. Have not seen a film in theaters. I will be going in the next couple of days. Do you want me to rattle off what I have seen so far?
Sure, go for it.
So I started off the year strong with Jake Kelly. Gave it that 3.5 stars out of 5. It was perfectly cromulent. Have you seen this film?
No, it was one of the ones I considered watching for this show, but didn't get to it.
Gotcha. Next film, in the second, I saw finally caught up with Saturday Night. I've always been a fan of Saturday Night. Thought it was historical accuracy notwithstanding. Thought it was the ambition it takes to get that show off the ground. Not every day, but for the past 50 years was pretty incredible. I love you and I love Gabriel LaBelle, right, from Fabelmans, from Snack Shack. Did you ever catch up with Snack Shack? I forget.
No, I think he was fine in the Fabelmans. I don't know if I'm like the number one Gabriel LaBelle stan, but sure.
Yeah. I think, I'm just saying with Snack Shack and I think he's in some other things. I think he's fucking incredible. I think he's definitely one of the 30 under 30 movie stars right now. What was I going to say? Corey Michael Smith was great as Chevy Chase. Dylan O'Brien was great as Dan Aykroyd. I think Dan Aykroyd is he doesn't do an impression, right? But he does like the voice of it enough that it's like, holy shit, that sounds like Dan Aykroyd sounds. Was very, very good. Same day, I checked out Somewhere. I'm also doing an unofficial challenge, which is to knock off all of the movies from filmmakers' filmographies that I haven't seen yet. So I had 2 left to see from Miss Coppola, and I saw Somewhere first. Thought it was fine. Thought it was like I said in my review, a warmed over, lost in translation. Gave that a 2.5 out of 5. I followed that up with The Beguiled. I'm also trying to do at least a little bit of a review. I post a lot of stuff on Letterboxd without a review. I'm going to try to do at least a couple paragraphs review this year. So I said for The Beguiled, I thought, what if it was a prequel to Fright Night? What if it was a Colin Farrell's character from Fright Night in Confederate times? So yeah, that was good. Gave it a 4 stars for that one. 2 more. I finally saw Bound, the Wachowskis' first film. Fucking slaps, dude. You should definitely check this out. You mentioned this is
That's one I need to see. I've been meaning to see it.
Last Wachowski you need to see. Definitely recommend checking it out. I think this is one of the best first features I've seen from any director. Really confident, really taunt, little thriller. Definitely recommend checking that out. And the last movie I saw recently was Speed Racer. Go Speed Racer, go. Yeah, you're mentioning
one of my all-time favorites.
It's so fucking good, dude. I started seeing this years ago. I threw on the blank check when they talked about this. Yeah, it is one of the most underrated movies I've ever seen. It is one of the most unadulterated, comic book movie, or not comic book, but manga or anime inspired things. Definitely, I feel like if Edgar Wright talked about this being an inspiration for Scott Pilgrim, I would definitely believe him. Really amazing camera work and over-the-top action. And yes, amazing. Everyone needs to watch this movie as soon as possible. Loved it.
Nice. Yeah, I could not agree more. Absolute banger. One of my favorite movies ever made.
Fantastic. All right. Do you want to just get out of here? Or do you want to do a Letterboxd shuffle? What do you want to do?
Let's save it for next time. Let's save it because I still have to do my Letterboxd shuffle from last time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, because we're we've been podcasting for a while now.
Yes.
And we can talk about that when we talk about our anticipated movies of next year.
Next year's coming up, yes. All right, so with that, plug all of my stuff. Like I said, I think I said it a couple dozen times, but I made a big old blog post, about 3,000 words, about the best movies I saw this year. So go to my Medium blog, damien.sherman.medium.com. I also posted it on the Substack. Just check that out. Like it, subscribe it, do all that stuff. Go to my Letterboxd, Midnight Film Pod. I'm 37 away from 2,400 followers. I have it here as 2 away from 200 likes on my Omni Loop review, but it did hit 200 likes. So thank you all for liking that review. Get me 200 likes on there. And I also checked, if you go to the most liked reviews on that film, I think I'm getting close to cracking the top 3 of all time liked reviews on that movie. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. And like you said to me earlier today, I can say I knew you'll win.
Exactly. The snarky one-line film reviewer. That guy. You knew that guy when. Go to Film Essayist on YouTube, Spotify for podcasters. Go to all of my interviews I've done in the past. Go to some Discords active, like we talked about. I'm active on the Blank Check Discord, Hey Riddle Discord, Letterboxd Discord. I'm not at the Blair Bitch. I'm at Punk Trash, talking about one battle after another. They're looking out for those radical, was it something punk trash that they're tracking down. I'm one of those people.
Hey, all right.
Yep. I'm also making a bunch of TikToks too. I'm doing some slideshows of just like, hey, here's what I've been watching. Here's what I like. So check me out, Midnight Film Pod on TikTok. Derek, what you got to plug?
Yeah, so you can listen to my podcast, the Underrated Movie Podcast, however you're listening to this. I, of course, talk about films that are underrated, underappreciated, and ones that have slipped under the radar and passed most people by. If you're listening to this on Damien's feed. I will be having him on my show coming up here on Monday. We talked about The Wolf House, a weird as shit film that I quite enjoyed watching that Damien showed to me. But every other Monday, I talk about new films there. You can also find all their stuff that I do on underratedmoviepodcast.com. I am also on TikTok and all the social media places as Underrated Movie Podcast, where I do short reviews. I'll also do my other podcast, Infinity Stones and Dragon Bones. You can find all of those links just by going to my website or social media. And I have a Patreon as well, where I'm going to be doing a whole bonus podcast on Amadeus. Over the course of 2026, breaking down the film in 15-minute chunks. So I'd love you guys to check that all out.
Yes, go there. Check all that stuff out. Thank you all for great 2025. Thank you, Derek, for great podcasting.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see you all in 2026. I've been Damien.
I've been Derek.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Woo!